Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting go-kart video. This go-kart that you see right here is our raffle build. We're building this one to give away at our car show coming up on October 19th, and you too can buy a ticket for this if you're interested. They're only $10 up on rarevw.com. Meanwhile, I have to finish building this thing, and one of the things we want to do is go faster and have more power. This kart is heavy, and we expect to put a full-size adult in there like me. So that means we need to put a bigger engine in it. Now, we did get the engine running in the last time with help from the HIPA Store, but that engine is not going to go in this. We're going to save that for a future project, maybe a mini bike or maybe, you know, a tiny little go-kart of some sort. But it's just entirely too small for this kart with this body on it. It's heavy. And sure, I can upgrade the engine and put a whole bunch of performance parts on it, but we wanted something that's also going to be reliable and has a lot of low-range torque. And the best answer for that is a new engine. Boom! This is a Predator 301 versus the 212 that's in there. It produces 2.5 times the amount of torque and makes a little bit more horsepower. Now, if somebody wants to upgrade this engine over the one that's in here, for whoever wins it, you'll be much better off with this as a starting platform. It'll go a lot faster! So win, guys. Anyway, we're going to see if we can fit this thing on the chassis, so let's see what we got.
Wait a minute! Before we go any further, let's take a moment to talk about the HIPA Store. The HIPA Store has been good to us here at DuckmanCycles. They provided all kinds of parts for my outdoor power equipment and even had some stuff for my go-kart engine needs. And I never expected it, but it's amazing how many of my fans have written to thank me for referring them to the quality and inexpensive parts that the HIPA Store provides. You too can support me by supporting the HIPA Store through the links down below in the video description. Special thanks again to the HIPA Store for sponsoring this video.
Alright, we're back, guys. Gotta take this body back off of here. And you can see the chassis that I shortened up this week. Alright, well, here's my chassis, guys. This is where we cut and we lengthened it. You might remember we cut it here, cut it over here, and we cut it down in here too. We took like 11 inches out of this thing. And now the body fits on this thing, fits quite well. I welded it together this week when I had a moment to get out here and actually do something, when it wasn't so blazingly hot. And it's nearly 100 degrees again today out here, and I'm already sweating, and I just started recording this video. But that 212 engine's going to come off. These come off really easily. There's literally 4 bolts that hold the platform of this engine directly to the chassis. Well, I should say, the bottom of the engine to the platform on the chassis. That's right here. Now, I believe there's other holes cut and slotted into it because this platform is intended to fit a larger engine. So if that's the case, I might just be in luck here, and it may just go on here directly. Now, remember, we got this one running last week. That doesn't mean we're going to throw this engine away. We're just going to pull it off and stick it in the shed and save it for the next project. Because we got a lot of things in mind with our upcoming shows through 2025 and 2026. We'll talk more about that as we get that far, but this one, we got it running by way of the HIPA Store. They provided us with a lot of great parts. I don't know why I took that off, but there it is. It's back on again. And it runs great. It runs great. Made no weird noises. It revs up fine. Seems to make okay power. So that's going to come off. And like I said, we'll put it away. Meanwhile, let's see what we can do with this Predator 301 engine. And I've never bought a Predator brand new engine before, so I don't even know how it's going to come out of the box. I guess we're about to see. All right, you guys. Harbor Freight's not doing any kind of sponsorship with me. I almost fell down. But we're going to open up this box today, and I didn't expect this to be an unboxing video, but I guess part of it's going to be exactly that. So, let's pull these staples out of here first. Get them out of the way. I don't want to leave them in the yard because stupid birds might try to eat them. Something shiny. Chickens aren't as bad as parrots, though, I'll tell you that, but they still can be an issue with eating things. The styrofoam, I can't leave it in the yard either because they'll eat that. But there's our manual to it. I'm familiar with this engine because I already have one over on my other go-kart. You might remember we upgraded my KT196 last year, but you need to get back out of the shed and finish a speed contest on it we've been talking about for, probably about 8 months. Alright, here we go. Before you run it, make sure you fill with gas and add oil, probably in the reverse steps. I would always recommend the oil in there before you put the gas, because if you put the gas, you might think it's time to start it, and it's not. Alright, pulling this out of here. These are not too awfully heavy. And there we go. That is a Predator 301. Alright, you'll probably notice right away that the Predator 301 is not that much bigger than the 212. And that's one of the reasons why we selected that engine over, let's say, a 420. I'm sure somebody down in the comments is saying, just get a 420 and add a whole bunch more power. Yeah, I mean, that is an option, but that's not what we wanted to do here. We're trying not to kill anybody, and space is limited because this body actually is really tight fit on here to still have enough seating area for a normal-sized human being like me. I can't put a huge engine on here because it's going to knock the back out of the body. And I suppose it's an option to start cutting the body up. And some folks had suggested that in the past. You know, instead of cutting up the chassis, why don't you cut the body and make the body longer? Well, a lot of reasons. Proportionally speaking, the body would look stupid after that. Adding 12 inches to it, it would look dumb. The next problem is body work. Anybody that's suggesting something like that has never done body work. And cutting the fiberglass in on this means I have to build all these contours out. And I have to make the parts for in between that. Body work takes a lot of delicate work and a lot of delicate time goes into that. Things that I don't have the patience for, which is the reason why I sent Eleanor away to Classic Car Creations to be finalizing the body work, because I'm not interested in all that. Can I do it? Sure, I can do it. But I don't want to do it. It's a whole lot easier to just weld in the 6 locations on here. But anyway, I'm a little bit off topic, but it's one of those things that I just keep getting asked. So that's now laid to rest. We're not stretching the body. Instead, we shorten the frame. Frame fits, we're good. Okay, that engine needs to go in there. Again, you notice the size isn't too awfully different. So we're going to unbolt this sucker from this platform here. One of the bolts is right there. I don't even know if you can see these at all. I can barely see them at all. Yeah, there's another one there. So we'll get those out. And there should be 2 more back here. One there, and then one back there. I don't know if they are threaded into the chassis or if there's nuts on the backside, but I guess we're about to find out. I may just stand the chassis up and look on the underside and see what we got. But once that's off, we'll have a look and see if this can mount on there. And I got a feeling, as I'm looking under here, I see other bolt holes, which tells me that this platform or this chassis may be intended to fit a larger engine. So wouldn't that be nice? Maybe I don't have to do a whole lot of fab on this. It might just bolt right on. Imagine that for a second, guys. Alright, well, let me get some tools to get this engine unbolted and see what we're left with. Alright, I guess I'm just going to start turning bolts. Boy, are they hard to get to. Alright, I'll be here a few minutes, guys. I'm going to try using a different wrench and flip over the chassis, like I said, and see what we can get out of there. Well, I didn't get any video of it, but I turned the chassis over, and there were 4 nuts on the bottom of those bolts. Using the impact, they spun right off. It was really, really hard to get the camera aimed, however, at the same time, because, well, I need like 6 arms to do this. And I've only got the 2 that I was born with, so the engine should lift off of there right about now. Yeah, looks like we got it. The bolts are still in there, so I'm going to try not to flip it over and end up losing them. I probably should have disconnected the throttle cable first, too. Well, we're just going to take that engine, lift it off, and just move it out of the way. We'll get to the throttle cable in just a few minutes. Straight up.
Straight up now, tell me.
Yeah, before the other one goes back in, yeah, there are extra holes in this chassis. And if I remember correctly, that engine, I think they mount the same lengthwise and they're a little wider or some shit like that. I don't know. I have the formula inside at my desk on my computer. But having more holes in there, can't have too many holes, guys. Those of you in an active relationship know what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at all the mounting holes. So there's lots of solutions there to be had. And of course, if there's not what I need, I can always drill them. Not a problem either. Alright. Let's put that other engine up. One engine up. Oh, plenty of room to spare. Plenty of room to spare. And like I said, it's going to have to go a little bit further to the right. That's fantastic. Looks like it's going to pick up the next set of holes just to the right. Just like that. Looks like the seat's got plenty of room to move. And there should be enough room to get the clutch on there. We might even be able to use the same shaft. I don't know if the new clutch is going to fit on there. We'll have to get a look at that. I have a TAV 40 series to go on here instead versus the 30 that was on here. You can't use the 30. Well, I mean, you can use the 30 series on your 301 engine. Even if you go to buy them online, they say it'll work just fine. It does work fine. But if you're heavy like I am, and you find yourself going through any like deep rocks or some mud or something, the belt will start slipping, and it'll eat a belt. I mean, within minutes it'll eat a belt. So I don't recommend using a 30 series, which is what this is, with the 301 engine. Not that you can't. If you're a little lightweight kid and you're on the street only, it's probably fine. But for anyone else, no, use 40 series. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, these are the engine bolts that came off the old engine. They should work for this one too, if the bolt holes line up. And you know what? It's looking like they may not, actually. It's a good thing this deck seems to be removable. I'll probably be able to put it up on a workbench and get some holes drilled. It will probably, and I'm willing to bet, line up with the bolts on this end though. These holes will probably fit just fine. Yep, there's one. Boy, it's hard to get my hand in there. Alright, I guess it's going to have to come out on the workbench. That's just a little too hard to move around under there. Alright, here's our platform off of the back of the cart. It's nice that it just kind of lifted right off. It bolts down and kind of gets sandwiched together. This is our 30 series pulley. This needs to come off. That was nice and easy. It's never easy. There it is. That pulley's actually in good shape. Hey, you know what? This is a proper Comet pulley. Made in Indiana. This is the real deal, not a China clone. I wonder if the primary is the same too. You know, I thought I saw Indiana on it actually. This is a keeper. That is a keeper. Those are expensive. The China ones are cheap, but the original ones, yeah, that costs you. This is a 40 series here. This is something I picked up about a few weeks ago for this cart. It's been sitting in the shed and kind of got rained on because I had a leak. It hasn't been very good to it. Otherwise, it's new. I mean, you could tell it's new. It's just it got dirty. Alright. And it fits right on this shaft. That is nice. Look at that. Wow. Hope I can still get the nut on the end of it, though. And if I have to take a spacer or something out of this, I might. Yeah, that's pretty close. That is really close. Well, that's not going to fit on there with that washer. Nope. Alright, one of two things has to happen. If we want to use this shaft, I'll have to either shorten it. Hey, you know what? There's some length over here. Look at this end. See the nut in there? Has a whole lot of thread sticking out of it. So I can actually wind that nut off a little bit, and it should give me some more length on this side. That's the theory anyway. I don't know if this shaft in here is proprietary and doesn't do that, but let's see if it comes off. I don't believe it. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. And does the shaft push through? Yes, it does. This might be a really good day. Alright, put our 30 series back on here. Worst case scenario, I could put it in a lathe and cut this down. I'd get about another 1/4 inch out of it. Or I could just buy a new shaft. Let's see if we can put that nut on the end. Oh, look at that. We got enough meat on there now. Still needs a little more. Yeah, I can make that work though. Yeah, that nut is a little soft. Yeah, that nut's really soft. I wonder if the threads on this one are any better. see what that does. There it is. That nut's no good though, because it's a lock nut and it's not going to the end. Now I could always drill through it and put a cotter pin through it. That would probably hold up just fine, and I could probably do the same on the other end just to make sure that it stays on there. But this is good. Alright, let's get this 40 series stuff out of the way. I thought we might have used this platform. I actually paid extra for it. It's a big heavy piece of steel that holds us all together, but if it all mounts on here, like this seems to be going down. This is, like I said, it's going to be a really good day. Alright, get that out the way. And let's put our engine up on here. Hopefully this cable will be strong enough for it. These engines aren't too heavy. Not too bad at all. Okay. We got a zip tie on the shaft here. Take that off. Here's our 40 series clutch. And our pulleys don't align. At least they don't yet. But they will. This engine just has to come a little further to the right towards me. Getting closer. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to drill my own bolt holes. Looks like they're not gonna line up. Close, but they're off by about ½ an inch. Because I have to line up that pulley. So that way we can get this belt on here. I don't even know if this is gonna fit that well. The engine might have to come further back. Or I might be getting a longer belt. I don't know what the proper measurement is for that. But the engine's in a good spot though, because looking at the rear here, it's flush with this piece of the frame. Remember, putting that body on here, we're having trouble with any extra space on the back here, so I can build that frame up so that way it's kind of flush with all this. So it should give us plenty of room to fit that body. This is going to work though. This will work. I'm going to do a little research about finding a slightly bigger belt, because if I can mount the engine a little further forward, that would probably be better. So before I start drilling any holes, this is what we're going to do. Now the measurement you take is between the drive pulley and the secondary pulley center of the axle from here to here. And based on what belt you use determines the distance between these two pulleys. And there's a little bit of hit or miss on it. I think you have about ½ an inch of play or something that you can screw it up. But otherwise the alignment this way is good. So this looks like it's going to work out nicely. I'm definitely going to have to do a little pulley research, find out a little bit about these belts before I start drilling any holes, which I may not even have to. I might be able to pick up the same holes that are here. But otherwise, this lines up really nicely. Really nicely. Okay, I'm happy with this. Yes. Yes. Let me show you guys a few other angles here. Before I show you anything else, I figured I'd show the engine platform here. This is where that drive plate sits on. So this goes on top of here. Now, you notice we have 2 sets of 4 slots. This allows you to put that engine forwards and back and snug it up or wherever it needs to be. There's enough holes on there you can figure out how far the engine needs to go this way or how far it needs to go that way. The engine that's on here, as we know, is a little bit bigger than the 212. Physically, those bolts are further apart. But the holes that are in the slots, and I remember taking this measurement, the smallest measurement that you can get between these bolts happens to be the biggest measurement that you get out of those. So this alignment should be relatively close as long as we can get this pulley aligned. That's really going to be the key. So wherever the pulley tells us we have to be is going to determine where the engine's going to sit. But otherwise, this does look good. It does look quite good. But the engine currently is 2 inches back further this way, which is still salvageable. If I can't find a longer belt, or I can't find a belt that's going to make me happy, then this is the way we're going to put it. But I'd like to put it a little further forwards. It gives me a little more room on the back here, so that way I can take the exhaust pipe and have an exhaust that comes out and down, because it can't exhaust inside the body. you'll get damn asphyxiated if it's not just hot for any other purpose. It's just, yeah, it can be entirely too hot and loud. You don't need to be inside of that fiberglass body with a, you know, an exhaust banging behind you. Although these stock exhausts, these stock muffs on here are pretty quiet, but still, you don't need that crap. All right, this looks good. I'm taking some video and pictures here so that way I can walk around it later and get a better look at it myself. Let's see, there should be a bolt in here. I put all my goodies in this can. This is the bolt that goes in here that locks this in. At least that seems like it's it. Is it not long enough? Sometimes these kits don't provide long enough bolts. Oh no, it's the wrong thread entirely. Okay, well that's not a big deal. You know, that means that hole in that's too small. I'll have to put that on a lathe and widen that out and use a bigger bolt. But yeah, the bolt hole that's inside the drive shaft is much bigger than that one. That's odd. Okay, I expected that one to be it for sure. And that's all that came in the kit, so boom, you get what you pay for. Anyway, here's our keyway. I don't want to lose that. Put that in there. And yes, the engine did come with a spark plug tool, which is really nice, because it is a little hard to get in there. So it's a bonus that they gave that to us. Alright, I'm going to put all the little pieces in here. That way I can bring in all the nuts and bolts tonight, so nothing gets lost. Here it is. And I guess we'll be signing off for this engine fitment stuff. As soon as I get some more measurements on here, or I get a belt, or I figure out what we're going to do, then we'll return and get this thing finalized with how we're going to have this thing set up. But I feel very confident about this now. I mean, now that this thing's coming together. And of course, when the engine is on there, then I can finish welding up the frame, however we're going to do that, because currently these are not fixed in any way. They're just kind of dangly. So we'll get them straight too. Right, Boomer? Right, Boomer? Otherwise, the chassis came out great. Gonna need a little grinding on some of those welds, clean it up a little bit. I'll put a little cat piss on the acid to clean that stuff up, and then we'll put a coat of paint on the whole thing. And probably just gonna make it just black, just flat black. Ought to be just fine. We don't need to go fancy. It's gonna be a frame. You're never really gonna see it. Well, nobody's gonna see it when you're, you know, driving in that body. The only time you're gonna see the frame is when you lift it up funny car style. And that's kind of the plan. I'm gonna put some hinges on the back here, so that way that body will lift up completely 90 degrees. That was the goal. Maybe I'll put some little bumpers or something on it so it doesn't hit the ground. But flip it up 90 degrees, and that would give plenty of room for, you know, a normal sized person to get in it like me. Or even if I had it stop at a 45 degree angle, and I don't know, I could put some of those trunk shocks on like you have on your hatchbacks, you know, that kind of grow. I might be able to pick something out like that, so that way when you start to lift the body, it will just kind of push itself up. Or maybe I'll use like deck lid springs or something like that. I don't know. I'll come up with something for that. But nonetheless, we got to get the hinges working first. But I can't do that until I get the engine in there and figure out how this stuff is going to be completed and how it's going to mount. But I feel very confident here. Very confident. This is making me all jiggly inside. I'm all happy. Alright, enough of that stuff. There's the body. One more time. No, we're not cutting the body. We're going to probably cut a hole in the top of it, though. Although this thing is so big and tall, there's a possibility that even I might be able to fit inside of this body when it's up on the chassis. And if that's the case, we may find ourselves cutting out the windows instead. You know, things to kick around when we get to that point. But I'm happy with this setup. I think we're good. Oh, poor Cheeky's getting picked on. Cheeky's my girl. She doesn't understand when she's out with the rest of the chickens. They pick on her. Except for the little baby one. The little baby one, Cheeky picks on her. And then him, he's the new boy. He hasn't gotten laid properly yet, so sometimes he goes after her too. He's just trying to get some. I know, buddy. I know, buddy. That's a solar eclipse boy. Yep, there he is. He's just a jerk. Just like his grandfather. His father's real cool, though. Never bit me at all. This one bites me. Actually got me in the cheek the other day. I don't know if you can see it, but I got hit right here. He left me with quite a welt that was on there for a couple days, and he surprised me when he did it. I mean, only missing my eye by 2 inches? That's not cool. Now I know I can't trust him. So, it's going to be a little different about how I handle him. And if he's bad, well, we're going to have a little lesson day, and we're going to reset him. Right, buddy? Yeah, you don't like them lesson days. No, you be a good boy. Roosters do that pecking on the ground like that when they're trying to act like you know, they're not going to be aggressive. It's like, no, I'm preoccupied, I'm busy, you know, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And I hear the Mr. Tasty ice cream truck. Mr. Tasty, Mr. Frosty, Mr. something. One of them. I don't know if you can hear it. It's way off in the distance. Oh, if he were down my street, I gotta make them stop. I love their ice cream so much. They're out of New Jersey, and it's something I remembered as a kid, and I just started to notice that there were some trucks here in Pensacola, but they rarely ever tour my neighborhood. The driver said himself he's a little afraid of my neighborhood. I'm like, come on, man. I said, am I harmful or dangerous? Anyway, I tipped them pretty good. And it's like, every time you come down here, every time you come down my street, if I'm home, I'm going to buy ice cream. Anyway, he only came back once or twice, but that was almost a year ago now. All right. Well, let's wrap up for the day. So, you guys, licky, likey, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to pluck that dingle bell so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out DuckShit.net for all of my different social media links. Your pool is really gross and nasty. I just filled it yesterday. And it's already green. You guys are gross. Oh. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you next time.